This is the B-side, B-side, B-side of marriage. This is the B-side, B-side, B-side of marriage.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Bside of Marriage Podcast. I'm your host, Rashonda, and this is my husband and co-host,
Jason.
And here at the B-side, we talk about everything related to marriage. The good, the bad, the real, the A, and the B-side. So if you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to rate and subscribe. And if you're listening on any of the audio platforms, please be sure to rate and review. Right?
No, you said the same thing twice.
No, I said rate and subscribe.
No,
for YouTube.
Like and subscribe.
Okay, well then, no, y'all need to follow on audio. Y'all need to follow and review. As you can tell, we didn't do an episode last week, so a little rusty, but we're getting it.
Hilarious.
So, babe, tell them what else they need to do.
So you can follow us on Instagram at Bside of Marriage and on Facebook at The Bside of Marriage.
Hey, we got through it. Okay, so now let's just roll on into our first segment where we like to share an A or B side moment from the week.
This is probably going to sound like a broken record, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Okay.
The feeling to be able to be home on the weekend is a feeling that I don't know how to explain it, but being that I really wasn't home for about 9 years on the weekend, it felt good just to be home this weekend. You know, we had family over for my son's birthday.
Our son's birthday.
Yeah, our son's birthday.
I'm just saying.
And it was just like it just was relaxing because, like I said, I was able to smoke some food, which I haven't done in a while.
I haven't done that all summer.
So it was really good that I didn't feel like rushed that I had to get everything done in one day so that, I had to go back to work the next day. So for me, that was my A side, and just even seeing, my son being able to enjoy himself in our backyard, it was really good. So what about you?
Yeah, I feel like, yes, the birthday party was an A. We were able to, I felt like it was evenly balanced because I was talking about this with some of my friends about how I have a tendency to go overboard for birthday parties, especially themed birthday parties.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I felt like it was like a nice little mix. Like I didn't overdo it as far as like the decorations. I didn't overdo. I did obsess on this balloon arch.
That's why I laughed. But
that was like the only thing. The other things I'm just like, just throw some stuff here, put there, and even the menu, because usually I like really obsess over like Pinterest type birthdays.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And I felt like, but because of that, I was truly able to enjoy, I was just truly able to enjoy, the company. I was able to, meet some of his friends' moms and have conversations with them without, rushing here and there, trying to make sure this and being concerned that, this doesn't look right or this isn't whatever.
So you was present in the moment.
I was present, and I felt like I had a good time. And that's usually not the case, really.
Yeah, because
when we have birthdays, because it's so much prep goes in, and then we're too busy. I'm too busy trying to make sure everything's perfect still.
Clean up and all that stuff
and
too.
There's an agenda, itinerary, blah blah blah, and then there's massive cleanup, and then at the end of the night, at the end of the day, I'm just done.
Yeah.
But even at the end of the day, I was just like, oh, okay, just kind of chill. We had an impromptu sleepover and stuff, so it's fun. So so that's my A side.
Okay. So what? Oh yeah. Okay. So next we go to our peer-to-peer share.
Oh, yes.
Where we share something we're listening to, reading, or even watching. So you going first, I'm guessing. So
I do have something this week. It was a sermon that I listened to. Was not that prepared that I didn't have it on ready. But it was at from Embassy City Church. Pastor Tim Ross. He was talking about. He's starting a new series called Winning Season, and his the first message in the series was about scoreboard, and so it just really refreshed me, and reminded me just about God's faithfulness towards us, even when we're not faithful, and that he used this analogy, which I was like, oh, because a lot of people are, I shouldn't say a lot, but oftentimes when pastors are preaching about winning seasons, that's like a prosperity series,
Gotcha.
and he was like, that's not what this is about, because you will lose. Even if you're winning. Yeah. And so the analogy he used was NFL teams. So NFL teams, they can go 9-7 or, 11-3. I'm going to get all the numbers wrong. But you know what I'm saying? They will lose throughout the season. Yeah. And it's still considered a winning season. Yeah. Because at the end of the season, they will be ranked 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, yes, you might lose at times in life, but overall you win because God stands on his word and his promises. Gotcha. So, and that's just really relevant to where I feel like I am
right now
in my life. Yes. So it's I feel like some things I am winning, but other areas I'm like, I feel like I've taken the L. And that you can get discouraged in those L's. But, so listening to the sermon was really refreshing. I might have lost in something, but overall I will win. Mm-hmm. And so I would advise you to check out at least that one. I think the series is going to be great, but he just started it. So that's my P2P.
Oh, okay. So mine is something I was watching because, so I watched this TV show, which is Kevin Hart's Muscle Car Crew or something like that. Okay. And for me, it's my wife knows, I've always wanted to do that type of thing. Rebuild something, if it's a motorcycle, if it's a car, because like I said, I'm handy with my hands, so I've always wanted to do that. So just watching that show for me was just a reminder of, I guess, I don't say two things, but it was a reminder of, one, what I'm building, what we're building right now with the Bside of Marriage, and how, it takes times. They talked about, I can't think of the name of the car show, but it's a huge car show. Mm-hmm. And, throughout they went through upgrading their cars, and the last thing at the last episode, they talked about taking just a frame of a car and building a car that they can take to the car show to sell. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, just watching that kind of reminds me of, that what we're doing, it takes time. It's not something that happens instantaneously. So that's what I was that was the first part that kind of hit me, and then the other part is just how much I still want to be able to one day do something like that, rebuild either a car engine or a motorcycle engine, something like that. So, but yeah, I see your face though.
That was definitely be a you project for sure.
Yeah, it'll be me and the kids, because like I said, I would bring them in just, to do stuff. But again, it's something that, it's something that takes time. It's not something that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna rebuild this engine in the weekend. No. All right. So it's something that takes time, that, it's taking your time to really put those things together so it lasts, so it works, things like that. So, but yeah, that's me.
Okay.
So what are we talking about today?
We're talking about sex, but just not sex in general. We're talking about obligation sex. Do you know what that means? Or when I say that, what do you think about?
What do you mean? Obligation is
yes.
Basically the phrase obligation is you have to do it.
Okay, well, yeah, and in the context of marriage.
Yeah, like there you have to have sex. Like, I don't think. Did I say something wrong? I'm
just like, yeah.
Oh,
So it's like obligation sex is feeling as though you have to have sex.
Okay.
And so I want to talk about this because it's just interesting. But also too, because I feel like a lot of the pressure falls on the wife.
Okay.
Well, I think that's just how we're kind of taught, kind of raised to think. So anyway, so we're just going to talk about obligation sex and why I'm not a component of it.
Okay, so I guess why don't we do this before we even go there?
Okay.
Because you kind of went, not say down the rabbit hole, but you went.
No.
You
Okay.
you went to the part where this is where I like we were taught this at a young age. So why don't we start there? Like, what was sex? How was sex taught to us? Like, because you said you happen to.
We're not gonna go. That's a whole different.
No, I'm not saying.
But in general,
yeah.
I wouldn't say sex was taught to me.
Okay.
But when I got married, or when we got engaged, oftentimes the advice is, make sure you're satisfying your husband when he wants to, because you don't want him to stray.
Okay.
And that's why I say I feel like a lot falls on the shoulders of the wife.
Okay.
Because I'm sure you weren't getting that message. Like, make sure.
Oh, yeah. See, I guess yes and no.
Okay, what's the yes?
Just, again, it's the yes because I want to, I want to make sure my wife is satisfied so she ain't going nowhere.
No. That's not what I said.
What did you say?
I said, was that the messaging you were receiving? Did people tell you that?
Oh, no.
Exactly.
No.
But they all, there are usually, I'm trying to not say
everybody.
Yeah. But especially in church, in religion, it's like you are responsible for making sure your husband doesn't stray.
Okay.
And the only way you can do that is make sure that you have sex whenever he wants to have sex.
Okay.
And I feel like, first of all, that's rude. Because why am I responsible for your actions that I shouldn't be held responsible for that.
Okay.
Two, also, when you say that I need to basically have sex whenever he wants to have sex, that makes it an obligation.
Yeah, something
right?
you have to check off the list.
It makes it a thing that I have to check off the list, and there's no desire.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, you have to do this, so because you have to do it, then
it takes the fun and the connection.
Yeah,
the connection
exactly.
behind
The connection. Yeah. There's no connection in that.
There's no connection.
When you tell somebody you have to do something,
it's like
they do it.
It's like, okay, I'm just gonna do it because I have to. Like,
yes, and get it over with.
Yeah.
Now that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of. This is gonna sound weird.
I'm waiting.
I hope this does not get pulled. But there are different types of sex.
Okay.
In a marriage because there's different seasons.
Correct.
That you go through in your marriage.
Correct.
Okay, that was pretty good. Okay.
I know.
Because what I mean by different types is like, yes, there are seasons where you can be spontaneous.
Okay.
And that's usually when you first get married, like when you're newlywed phase, because there's less responsibilities right then. You're just excited. Yes. So there's a lot of spontaneity that can happen.
Yeah.
With that. But then you go through, like if you start to have a family, and things get busier.
Okay.
Like things get busier. There's more schedules to coordinate. And it's not just when you have kids. Also, too, like if you're going for like career-wise, there can be, different seasons in your career that may cause schedules to be less free flowing, or less flexible, I should say. So because
less flexible means there's not a lot of connection points. So
yeah,
okay,
there's not connection points, or there's just limited time.
Yeah.
Anyways, but during those seasons, you can have scheduled sex, which is not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
It actually is one thing for you to. It allows you to be able to make sure that needs and wants are being satisfied. But you can still be creative with that.
Yeah, and when you schedule it as well, it puts. I'm gonna say for husbands, if there's things that your wife needs you to get done, if you have a honey-do list, and we're gonna have some schedules, you have some time you're gonna schedule. You're gonna make sure all them things is kind of done. So it's like cool. So she's not thinking about it or even saying, "Did you take care of that?" You already know what's done. So that's what I'm saying for husband. I'm not saying for wife. I'm saying for husbands. You try to make sure you get all that stuff done, and then even just the text messages throughout the day.
Yes.
So it's,
Yeah, so when you say scheduled sex, not bad. But when you say obligation, I feels like it removes me from the equation. Like my personality.
It don't remove you.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
Physically, it doesn't. But it takes our relationship kind of out of it. It just becomes a thing.
Yes.
Because if you're oh, I gotta do this, then it's then I feel like you don't have to do any work.
Okay.
It's
a one-way thing. It's not.
Yes, I'm just there to make sure your need is satisfied. But especially because also women are very much intimacy starts outside of the bedroom.
Yeah.
And it always starts in our head. That's not turning me on. That's not starting.
Not priming the pump.
It's not doing anything.
Yeah.
Oh.
What you say?
I'm just saying you gotta do this because no.
Gotcha.
I'm you just move around. And so then, so I just don't feel like that's I don't think it's a good thing. Now, I think if we're moving more towards, I feel like the messaging should be to both spouses that you need to make sure that your needs are being met by your partner, by your spouse. You just have to have communication about it. And not necessarily if you feel I'm trying to figure out how to say this, but basically what I'm trying to say is men can't demand it just because you are the head of the household.
No, that's okay. You're right. No, you're right.
Because that messaging is also given to us females.
Okay.
Because he's the head of the household, you gotta make sure all his needs are being met, blah, blah, blah. Because you also have a situation where there's a higher desire spouse, lower desire, and the wife could be higher desire. So basically what you're saying is that forget the wife's needs as long as his needs is being met.
Yeah. When
he wants them to be met.
Okay.
Y'all should be good. And that's just unfair.
No, you're totally right about that. See, I had something, I lost it because I was just into what you was just talking about. So
I just think it's unfair. I think.
I figured it out. So some, I don't say some people, but even scheduled sex can feel like it's an obligation. Do you agree or no?
I would disagree. I think you shouldn't. Okay, I disagree with that.
Okay.
Because schedule. Okay, so when I hear obligation, obligated is more. it's not a agreed upon decision. It's not a mutually agreed upon thing.
Okay.
It's one person wants it, the other person has to
comply,
submit to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Scheduled is we both agreed on the day.
Yeah. Okay.
Or we've agreed to this.
Okay.
And to make sure that I don't think I finished my thought about that. Like when you put on the schedule, you know that it's there. Like, so there's not going to be extended amounts of time where you guys are not connecting physically because it's on the calendar.
Okay.
Because life gets so busy, you can easily not easily. You can easily miss out on, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
And that's what you don't want.
Okay.
So I feel like schedule is like a joint decision. And it's like agreed upon like day or whatever. And so it's an expectation for you both to show up like in the right headspace for that.
Oh, sorry.
Bless you. Okay?
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't want it to go real loud, so that's why I was like.
So it's like.
I don't know what just happened. Okay, I'm good now.
So, because the deal when you trying to be, when you want it to be spontaneous all the time, it's like, and we've had this conversation. It's like every time. So then, is this touch? Was that touch? Does that mean he wants something? Like, is that what? Especially when you have a husband or a spouse, I should say, who one of their love language is physical touch.
Yeah.
So now I gotta spend time trying to interpret every touch, and that's exhausting. Cause I'm like, wait, so is that a go touch? Is that a prep touch? Like I'm trying to figure out how schedule. I'm like, okay, and also too, if you do schedule, that's happening at least those times that week or whatever you guys agree upon.
Yeah.
But you can still have spontaneous.
It can still be, it can still be.
It's not like, we go only on the scheduled days. No, it's not like that. So I just feel like schedule is more freeing. It's a joint decision. It's a way to also make sure that everybody's in, like I said, is in the right mindset, has the right mindset coming into the situation.
Okay. Because,
like I said, if it's obligated, I'm already mentally checked out. I'm like, okay. Let's get it over with.
Yeah.
But if it's scheduled, and also too, like if depending on how you guys set that up, you can have one person, like you can take turns on how it's initiated, where, like so there's still fun ways, whatever, so that but we're both like on the same page that this is happening, and that I need to make sure that I'm doing all the things that turns on my spouse, right? So it's not like just because you scheduled don't mean there's no priming of the pump either.
Correct. That's good. No, that's correct.
So that's why I was just like, I don't think. I feel like obligation sex should not be in a marriage. Or if it's in a marriage, it is a negative connotation and it's something that is going to wear on the relationship in the long term.
Correct. So, and it's even just, kind of to add on to what Shonda just said, it's, you schedule sex, but even like, for instance, if you're doing role playing or something like that, you can just be like, listen, I'm gonna be a character, I'm gonna be somebody, and I want you to be somebody. You're role playing. Y'all don't know what roles y'all coming into, but you communicated that you're gonna do some type of role play. But so it's spontaneous because you're like, okay, who is he gonna come at? So it can be, you come out, you start talking Spanish, and then she just busts out laughing because that's not what she expected. But it's still, like I said, it's fun, and it gives you that spontaneity. It's like, okay, what is he gonna do? So that's all I wanted to say.
Well, I know you were itching to say that, but I don't know. I also feel like so when you say obligation, it just drains. Also, okay, this is what I'm gonna say. when you say obligation, it seems as though you're putting a hierarchy on the roles within the relationship.
Oh, okay.
And
That's real
I don't
good.
think that's fair.
That's real good. Yeah.
Because also too, we're coming in as two whole people, and we're doing this together. So my needs should not prioritize yours, and yours should not be a higher priority than mine.
Correct.
So that's why it's like a situation where you have to communicate and you have to talk about, like, you have to talk about these things.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't even talk about intimacy and sex prior to even getting married.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a whole thing. Like, it's just like, oh, it's assumed. And then when we're coaching clients, and then we're like, oh, we didn't talk about, I just assumed that we would just have it all these times. Or, we would have it,
Yeah. Yeah. That was...
And that's, no.
That was something I would just say, that was the conversation we had. I was like, oh yeah, I wanted this, man. She looked at me like, huh? But we quickly got on the same page about it. Because again, I had an expectation because this is okay, so that's one thing people tell you gonna have sex all the time. That's one thing for men. Mm-hmm. So, but that's, that was something that we had to talk about, agree upon, because again, like Shonda said, there's seasons of stuff. So, even as being newlyweds, we said it in a previous episode, like, she was traveling at that time. So for me to say I want to have it 4 times a week, she wasn't even home 4 days a week. So how's that supposed to happen? So it was like, but...
When I get home, we're just supposed to have sex. That's it. That's all
no
we do.
eating, no nothing.
No eating,
just,
no nothing.
There it is. So that's why it's like you have to have these conversations to be able to talk about it and talk through it, and even just talking about your likes,
yes.
and dislikes, so you can get a better understanding of what your spouse likes, what she doesn't like, and you gotta be okay. You can't get defensive about if she's like, I don't like that. Why? Like, no, that is not. I don't mean to say it like that, but like, that's not something that you should be defensive about. We change every day, so you're learning all the time. So it's okay that, this does not work. Okay, so what works? Like, what can, just being able to try different things with each other, so.
Yes, because I think a lot of times we downplay the intimacy part, meaning that we don't talk about, like, things that that helps us get into the mood or help us to feel connected. So especially when females tend to be more of the feeling, like we need to feel a certain way, need to be in a certain mental space to be in the moment, to be in that, in that moment so we can connect physically.
Correct.
Because a lot of times we spend more time in our heads than being able to just be present in our bodies. And that is something that you have to work through as a couple, because there are things that you may have done with a previous partner or you think that might work. And each person's different. And then, like you said, there's also changes. Yeah. Everybody goes through changes, especially women as you have kids or just get older, because the body is what it wants to do. What it wants to do.
It's fabulous.
It is a very unique thing. So yeah, so you have to be able to be willing to talk about those things and be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And that's what's like, we are advocates of speaking up. Even in the moment, you might think something was gonna feel good or feel a certain way, and you're like, that ain't it. Don't say harshly, but I mean, there's ways that you can be like, no, let's try something different. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like,
that's where the defensiveness comes in. If you say it like that, be like, that ain't it.
Well, also too, depending on who's saying it. If you tell it to the female, she's probably out. She's like, okay, well, there it went. What do you mean? Gosh, she's already in her head now. You might as well just wrap that up. But I'm just like, also too, God created sex.
Yeah.
And I think we've allowed the world to come in and taint it to the point where this is like a good thing. There should not be an obligation associated with it. Like, obligation, I feel like, is law. Like, it's a legalistic thing. And that's not what it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
It's legit a connection that you're only supposed to share with your spouse. No one else can connect with your spouse in that way.
Correct.
Should be connecting with your spouse in that way. So this is literally something special between you and them, and so there shouldn't be any legalistic, any rigidness, any whatever.
No.
So that's all I had to say.
Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I didn't know we was going this way. So, but it was a good. Let's say what you said was. It was. Like I said, it's true. Like, we have, and then I guess how people take obligation. It's like, and I'll put it in the context of you're working, have a job. That's, to me, that's how people probably presume it's an obligation, because you have to go to work, you have to do that. But when it comes with sex, with your spouse, that's we should want to. It shouldn't be just an obligation where you need to do this, you need to do it this way. No, that's not what it's about. It's that, like you said earlier, it's the desire. You desire to, like she said, I'm a physical touch person. So, especially with this beautiful one right here, I always desire. So it's nothing.
Well, and that's the deal. I want to be desired.
Yeah.
Like, each spouse, you should want to be desired by your significant other. So
that when you're obligated,
exactly.
that takes that desire away. It's like,
no,
yeah,
that's not.
Yeah.
Nope.
So, but I guess, do you have an advanced marriage tip for this?
I think we've kind of mentioned it already. Just be okay with being vulnerable and speaking up about this. If you are feeling as though your needs are not being met, or you're feeling that this, sex is an obligation, you need to talk about it. And if you can't talk about it, you don't feel like you can talk about it in front, without someone helping to mediate the conversation or kind of help facilitate the conversation, then reach out. There are marriage coaches out there. We're marriage coaches that can help facilitate the conversation, because it is something that needs to be talked about. And when I say need, it's like intimacy and sex need to be talked about within a relationship, within a marriage. That needs to be a place where you're able to be completely honest in that area. And so if that's not the case, please reach out, get help, because like I said, marriage is fun.
Oh yeah, it is.
Obligation sex is not. So I guess that is my advanced tip.
Yeah. So, well, again, if anybody got any topics they want us to speak about, DM us, send us a message. And what else is there? I always forget this. I don't know why.
I don't know.
Oh, and share this with somebody that you may think that they need this, or just, to even spark conversation with your spouse. Like, send this to them, share it with them. So, and again, until next week, peace.